А теперь слушайте меня,
Yevgeny Prigozhin is the bruising, villainous boss of the mercenary group Wagner, whose forces recently captured the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. He says what he thinks about the way the war is going, and he has slated the Russian armed forces in a way that nobody else gets away with.
Поэтому армия в полной заднице. Вылезал задницу, занес по очереди на самую верхушку, ты в армии.
This is the kind of address that we've got used to seeing from Yevgeny Prigozhin. Direct to camera, not mincing his words, a lot of expletives in there, criticising the top military brass of the Russian army, discrediting the Russian armed forces, which most people go to jail for, but Yevgeny Prigozhin does not. And basically, every time he wants more ammunition, he gets on camera, he screams, and then he gets some.
А теперь слушайте меня, Это чьи-то, отцы и чьи-то сыновья. У нас нехватка боеприпасов 70%. Шойгу! Герасимов! Где боеприпасы?
This time last year, most people in Russia wouldn't have known anything about Yevgeny Prigozhin. But since he won in Bakhmut, he's become more popular.
России и как выиграть войну.
This is an interesting clip. This caused quite a stir, because let's play it.
Если вдруг случайно, я просто предполагаю, окажется, что этот дедушка законченный.
That would suggest, and people thought he was talking about Vladimir Putin. He then backtracked and said, actually, I meant Valery Gerasimov, the chief of the general staff, the guy who runs things in Ukraine, who he hates almost as much as he hates the defense minister. But this was a moment where you did wonder whether Putin might not step in and try and deal with him. But Putin hasn't. Prigozhin understands his role in the Putin system. Apart from that one slip, he has never criticised Vladimir Putin directly. He's never bitten the hand that feeds him. And everything that he's done to date, his whole business empire, has been entirely for the Kremlin's benefit. For all his bruising manner, though, he has proven himself to be quite a leader of men. And he's going around the regions and talking to the wives and the mothers who've lost their children, their sons, their husbands in his forces in Ukraine. He's done a lot more than Vladimir Putin has. But these are quite tragic scenes. Here he is laying a wreath at the grave of yet another man who's been lost on the battlefield. This woman, he's about to present with a car, as though that makes up for the loss of a loved one. But at least he's doing it, and I think that has won him a degree of support and sympathy, and people do agree with the stuff that he's saying. He says what needs to be said and what nobody else is saying. And here you can see him with his men mucking in. You know, we haven't seen Vladimir Putin in fatigues. He's only in his business suit back in Moscow. I mean, he's very good at carving out a PR image for himself, a man of men, a populist, which is actually exactly what Putin tries to be.
Второе, Ленин.
He really thinks of himself as an anti-elite, but actually, he's got the kind of money that the elites do. His daughter's also sitting abroad, having a lovely time, so it's a bit rich when he criticises, like, the son of Sergei Shoigu and the oligarch's children for being abroad when his own is too. This is quite interesting. Now Prigozhin is going on this tour of the Russian regions. He's been to various Russian cities.
Поэтому если мы воюем дальше, а мы воюем дальше, уже сейчас надо мобилизацию объявлять и привлекать людей хотя бы для обучения. Чтобы когда гром грянет, да, уже можно было воевать, а не креститься.
Basically a sort of military patriotic tour where he talks all about the need for a further mobilization, a mobilization of the economy. He says that Russia has to get used to the fact that it will be a bit like North Korea in economic terms if it's going to pull through what the war needs. The sledgehammer has really come to represent what Wagner is all about, and it's a particularly nasty, brutal symbol. Because often in Syria and also in Ukraine, Wagner troops have used sledgehammers to brutally murder people who've left their ranks. He gives it as a kind of award to people. He's given it to politicians in Moscow. He's even sent a sledgehammer with blood on it to the European Parliament. And these axes were given to him on his birthday as a birthday present. Wagner master, they say. And they're also kind of part of this sledgehammer brutalist tradition. But let's just take a moment to think about what Wagner has done for the Russian armed forces. For months it fought around the city of Bakhmut, a horrific battle in which tens of thousands of people died. You know, so many of the prisoners who were recruited by Yevgeny Prigozhin have been killed in the outskirts and in the rubble of Bakhmut. Just take a look at those pictures. It is a city that was utterly decimated and where so many people on both sides were killed. And the question is, what was it all really for? Bakhmut is not a strategically particularly important city, but it has come at such a huge cost, the ability to wave that flag above the rubble and the Wagner flag as well. Just such a tragic symbol of this whole war.